It's recording now.
Okay, guys. So last week we were about to finish talking about God's sovereignty or God being all-powerful. I don't know. Who can tell me like 2 or 3 things that you guys learned briefly? Mulu.
We learned about the story of Joseph.
You learned about the story of Joseph. All right. What did we learn about? What was the main message of that story? Who knows? The main part of the main. Why did we learn about that in relationship to God's sovereignty or God's being powerful? Abel, do you remember?
His love,
Say what now?
His love, God's love he doesn't he always loves you, he never stops.
Okay. Okay. How about in relationship to God's love? Yeah, so remember the story of Joseph was this was the guy with the 11 brothers, right? And they sold him to slavery and they did a lot of bad things to him. አይደለም መጥፎ ነገር አድርገውበት መጀመሪያ ሊገሉት ፈልገው ከዛ በኋላ ሸጡት አይደል ለግብጽ ስሌቭ እንዲሆን አይደል ከዛ በኋላ what happened ከንጉሱ አጠገብ ተመርጦ ምግብ እንዲያድል ተብሎ ወንድሞቹ ናላቸው what did he say to his brothers? He was selected to hand out food to his brothers. It's a long story, I'm shortening it very short. And he said to his brothers, you meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. Alright, so God has control of situations, even bad situations that happen in our lives, that when people do bad things to us, God can control those situations and make them for good. So whenever we go through when bad things happen, we have to remember that God is in control and He can turn those things into good. Alright, so what do we need to do to accept that God is all-powerful? What do we need to do? It's kind of a simple answer.
Learn more about Him.
Learn more and
Pray.
so probably the best answer is found in the following verse, Proverbs chapter 3 verse 5 to 6. Proverbs, P-R-O-V-E-R-B-S, Proverbs chapter 3 ምሳሌ መጽሐፍ ምሳሌ ምዕራፍ 3 ቁጥር 5 እስከ 6. So what that says is trust in the Lord with all your heart. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. And lean not, which means do not lean, on your own understanding. And lean not on your own understanding, or do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge Him. Acknowledge, A-C-K. In all your ways, acknowledge Him. Acknowledge is spelled A-C-K-N-O-W-L-E-D-G-E. Acknowledge Him. And He shall direct your paths. And He shall direct your paths. And He shall direct your paths. በአማርኛ በፍጹም ልብህ በእግዚአብሔር ታመን። በፍጹም ልብህ በእግዚአብሔር ታመን። በራስህ ማስተዋል አትደገፍ። በመንገድ ሁሉ እርሱን እወቅ። እርሱም ጎዳናህን ያቀናልሃል. Alright, so what Abraham said, which is learn about God, is one part of it. Learning about God is important. Right? You guys are here, that's why you were here, right? To learn about God, hopefully. But we also have to trust, that's the other word that's in there, trust God. Alright, trust God with all your heart. The other part that's important is do not lean on your own understanding. So when things are going wrong, don't just depend on your own. Don't just think that you can solve all your problems by yourself. And realize that God is always in control. በራሳችሁ በፍጹም ልብ በእግዚአብሔር ታም በራስህ ማስተዋል አትደገፍ በራስህ ማስተዋል አትደገፍ doesn't mean that we shouldn't think for ourselves that we shouldn't plan no we obviously need to live our lives appropriately and plan our lives and you know when we're on the world but we always need to be leaning on God all right okay so does anyone have any questions about that about God is sovereign God being powerful okay so the next thing we're going to talk about that now that we're done we talked about God is love እግዚአብሔር ፍቅር ተምረናል እግዚአብሔር ኃያል አምላክ መሆኑን ተምረናል አሁን the second thing the third thing we're going to talk about is that God is just or God is fair that's the new topic for today all right God is fair that's the topic for today God is fair you guys can write that that's the title of today's lesson God is fair or God is just all right so knowing about God being powerful answers the following question why is there evil in the world when we answered that right why there is evil in the world we need to learn about God being fair to answer the following question and you guys can tell me this is the participation why do bad things happen to good people why do bad things happen to good people መጥፎ ነገሮች መልካም ሰዎች ላይ አንዳንዴ ለምን ነው የሚከሰተው why Abraham
Like God's testing you.
God's testing you okay what else fun way
Humans got free will. They can do anything they want, so they chose their own path.
okay so that's why there's evil right that's why people do evil so that could be one of the reasons people but why does God allow that yeah
He gave us free will. Like,
yes yeah no you're not wrong
ምክንያቱም ለነዛ ሰዎች እንደ መሸጋገሪያ ይሆናል ማለት እግዚአብሔር መጥፎን ነገር ያደርገዋል ምክንያቱም ለወደፊት ሕይወታቸው እንደ ፈተና የሚሆናቸው አብርሃም እንዳለው እንደገና ደግሞ እንደ ድልድይ ይሆናቸዋል እግዚአብሔርን እንዳይረሱ ያደርገናል
እንደ ድልድይ ይሆናቸው it could be a bridge for them to know about God more sometimes when there are bad things that happen to us it allows us to depend on God more. It helps us remember, oh, there is a God, actually. Because when times are easy, it's easy to forget about God. When there's trouble, times of trouble, that's when people really remember God. That's what you're saying. All right, that's a very important answer as well. Okay? So, there are a lot of unfair people. A lot of people ask me this all the time. I don't know about when we met up, you guys remember the questions you guys kept asking? It's not fair. There are a lot of bad things that happen in the world. A lot of sick people in the world, right? Every day, this is some statistics. 28 people are killed by a drunk driver every day. 28 innocent people are killed by a drunk driver every day. Every day, 1 in 6 women will be a victim of rape. Every day. 1 in 6 women. Imagine, that's huge. That's huge. I can go on and on. You guys know there are a lot of bad things, evil things that happen in the world. And a lot of people, what they say is they think about those things and then their next reason is that means God is not fair. How could He allow this to happen? Right? A lot of people think that way. Alright, so that's what we'll work through today, because that's a simple thinking. That's very simple thinking. Alright, that's very simple thinking. So we need to think about it in a more complex kind of way. Obviously, a lot of those situations are complex. So and the question is complex. Why do good things happen to bad people? So the answer must also be complex. It's not as simple as God is not fair. Okay? So again, most people say life is not fair. Alright? And again, this may be an acceptable explanation to some people. Life is not fair. Alright? But it doesn't, we need to be able to make it make sense. Because we also believe that God is love. We talked about that. He's perfect love. We also learned that God is in control and powerful. So that's not enough. I don't want to hear life is not fair. That's how it is. Too bad. I don't want to hear that. That's not enough. And you guys should not think that's enough either. Alright? Is it bad to ask this question? Why does this happen? Is it bad to ask that question? No. There are people in the Bible who've asked that question. Alright? One of them is Jeremiah, who's a prophet that was loved by God. Jeremiah. In chapter 12, verse 1, in chapter 12, verse 1, Jeremiah said, "Why does the way of the wicked prosper? Why do evil people get rich?" Why? He was mad. He was angry. And this is a man who was loved by God. He said, it's not fair. Why does the way of the wicked prosper? And he says, why are those happy who deal so treacherously? Alright, what does that mean? Treacherously means like, and again, in a really bad and evil way. Why are those people who are stealing and committing adultery and hurting other people, why do they live happy lives? So Jeremiah was confused. He was asking God, why? It's not fair. So it's not wrong to ask that. What's wrong is to make up your own answer. Right? That's the wrong part. But the question is not wrong. በአማርኛ ትንቢተ ኤርምያስ ምዕራፍ 12 ቁጥር 1 የኃጢአተኞች መንገድ ስለምን ይቃናል? ስለምን ይቃናል? በደልንስ ለሚያደርጉ ሁሉ ለምን ድህነት ይሆናል? Alright? So in today's world, it's basically, sometimes, doesn't it make you guys mad? Like, I don't know if you've ever had taken classes with people who cheat. And you're like hoping that, you know, like, I'm like hoping that they get caught, but they don't get caught. And they get A's, and you're like studying very hard, and you get a B or a C. And you're like, why does that happen? Like, why didn't God make them get an F? That's not fair. Right? Or at workplace. Alright? A long time ago, I gave you guys this example of like me and my coworker. We, you know, pretty much do like the exact same job, and we're both, you know, very much hard workers. But he got a promotion, and I didn't. Alright? And naturally, I was like, why didn't I get it? What is it that, you know, made them get, you know, why did he get the promotion? I did it. I felt that way naturally. So it's a natural feeling to have that. Why did this have to happen? And I was thinking to myself, like, I do the same job, I work hard, and I go to church. You know? So you'd think, like, I have, you know, plus, you know, I go to church. Why? Let me know. You mean submit? You might have done sometimes, right? So the question itself is not wrong. Alright, የኃጢአተኞች መንገድ ለምን ይቃናል? በደልንስ ለሚያደርጉ ሁሉ ስለምን ድህነት ይሆናል? Why does the cheater get promoted? Why does the person who lies ends up making more money? Why does the student who doesn't study cheat and make the best grades? These are questions that we all have. Alright? Even Abraham asked this question in Genesis chapter 18. Genesis chapter 18, verse 25. Alright? He says, shall not the judge of all the earth do right? Shall not the judge of all the earth do right? He's like, won't God punish these people that are doing bad things? So this is Abraham, right? Abraham is the guy, the main guy that God promised all these things to. For his generation, he blessed his generation, he blessed all his people. And then all the Israelites came out of his seed. Okay? Alright, so shall not the judge of all the earth do right? I know it's phrased a little weird. The judge he's talking about is God. Shall he not do right? Like, should he not be judging these people right now?
Do not.
Alright? Okay, so a lot of people ask, is God fair? How many of you have asked that question before? Is God fair? I mean, I have, so I'm raising my hand. Okay? Is it fair? What is happening? Is it fair? So the problem is, when we ask that question, is God fair? We are assuming that we know what is fair. We are assuming that we have the perfect justice in our head. And we know what is fair and not fair. We know it. And why is God, the creator of the universe, not going by our criteria of right and wrong? Does that make sense? That is the essence. So we're gonna I'm not saying it's wrong to ask that question. ግን ችግሩ ዋና ችግሩ ምንድነው? እኛ ትክክል የሆነውን ነገርና መጥፎ የሆነውን ነገር አውቀን እግዚአብሔር ለምንድን ነው የኛን መንገድ የማይከተለው? ማለት that's the question. That's what we're asking. We say it's not fair. Again, I'm not saying that that's a sin to ask that question, because we saw Jeremiah and Abraham and many others have asked that question.
So in God's eyes, this is fair. Like this is what He thinks is like fair.
Well, that's what I'm saying. When you're that's my point. Is like I'm trying to get you guys to think a little outside the box. I'm saying when we ask that question, I have asked it too, right? We told you with my job situation. I am assuming that if there is someone who works hard, and if they go to church, they should get the promotion. Okay, that is justice to me. You see what I'm saying? I'm assuming that I know right and wrong. So if you are starting off by saying, I know what is right and wrong, and when God does not follow my right and wrong, He is not fair. We should start off by realizing that there's something wrong with that, right? Like a little bit. You know what I'm saying? There's something. I'm not saying that like there are not crazy things that happen in the world that don't make sense to us. That's true. And we all sometimes say, God, why are you allowing this to happen? We see in Revelations, in heaven, there are saints who pray to God, saying like, God, please give justice to the people that are suffering. So this happens all the time. Trying to understand God's will. All the time. Saints do it. Christians do it. So I'm not saying the question is wrong, don't get me wrong. But it does, in the back of our heads though, it should not come from a place of, I know what's right and wrong. And God, the creator of the universe, is not going my way.
Okay. So I'm just trying to sound what you're saying. So I'm just saying, so God has His way of being fair and not fair because He's the creator of the universe. So this world is what He thinks is fair.
I didn't get there yet. I have not gotten there yet. I'll get there. You're moving a little too fast for me. I want to move just one point at a time. But are we good so far? Until this point. I'm not saying that we should not ask God, why did this happen? I'm just saying that if it's coming from a place of like, I have my idea of what's right and wrong, and if God is not following that, then there's something wrong with Him. That is not okay. We should realize there's something wrong with that. Right? The first time I heard that, I was like, well, that kind of really threw me in a loop, because I never thought about it like that before. I always thought like, well, what's right and wrong makes sense. You know, suffering is wrong. Being prosperous is right. You know what I'm saying? Being happy is right. Being sad is wrong. Like, right? It makes sense. I mean, it makes sense to me. Hunger and dying of hunger is wrong, and having food to eat is right.
I think that makes sense to everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think it should.
It should. That's right. Yeah. But it's more complicated than that, is what I'm trying to say. So when we see somebody hungry, we shouldn't automatically think, oh, it's not fair because having food is right. It's not that simple. It's not that simple. It's much more complicated, because we're looking at individual snapshots of someone's life rather than looking at the whole, like Joseph, right? Like imagine when he was in jail. Being in jail is wrong, right? Being in jail is bad. But God allowed that to happen for a purpose, because He was preparing him to feed his entire nation, including his brothers, and bring his brothers back to God. There's a reason for everything. But we'll talk about that, and there's how. Okay? So, we need to realize that the first thing to do is understand God's justice. Understand how His justice works. This gets to what Abed is saying. Is this what fairness is? That's what we're going to talk about. We need to understand and learn about God's justice. Because if we're simply going by our justice that we simply have in our heads, we cannot expect God to go by our justice. We need to first learn about God's justice, and then we can say what is fair or not fair according to God.
Justice.
That's it, I guess. Yeah. All right. These are big points. Big points. All right. Big learning points about God's justice, or God's fairness is another word. Number one. If you want to see justice, if you want to see justice, you have to wait until the end. If you want to see justice, you have to wait until the end. I'll give you guys an example. No, just example. Alright, I'll give you guys an example. How many of you have ever fought with your sibling?
Like fist fight or like argument?
Both either.
I'm sorry.
Okay, alright, now imagine a situation. I'll give you guys a situation. Imagine Job punches Al-Azhar in the face.
Co-star.
In the face. Alright? And then Al-Azhar gets really upset. And he's like, this is not fair. Like, why is he, and he keeps hitting him. His parents are not home. His parents are not home. Al-Azhar at that point, as he's getting hit, can say, my parents are not fair. There is no justice. Right? There is no justice. No justice, no peace. Alright? He's trying to fight back, but he's getting hammered. Clearly, in order to see the justice, what has to happen? The parents have to no, they have to come home, and they have to hear what happened, and they have to then say, okay, Ayyub, you shouldn't have done that. Punished. Alright? Okay, like that's, and then Al-Azhar can say, justice is served. At the end of the situation. That's how it works. That's how it works in the legal system too. Alright? If somebody did something wrong to, let's say somebody hits your car, and you're driving and somebody like crashes into you. Alright, you can sue them, right? But until like you have to go to, like you can't just say, oh, there's no justice. Like my car, I had to pay for my car, there's no justice. You gotta pay for your car, you may get reimbursed. You just have to go to court, you have to get a lawyer, you have to, do the actual, and then there has to be a judge that grants, justice on your behalf. That's how justice works. There is a process. It takes months. It takes years sometimes. That's how even in the world, like legal justice, or like even with friends or whatever, that's how it works. And it's not so. In the moment of the trouble, you can't just yell out, "There's no justice and it's not fair." In the moment of the trouble, because we talked last week, there are a lot of reasons why there are problems, why there are trials and tribulations, right? Sometimes there are trials. Sometimes God gives us trials so we can learn to trust in Him. Sometimes the devil, Satan, who's very real, creates situations to make us fall. Right? Create situations in the Bible. Several examples in the Bible. Create situations to make us fall. Alright, but God, like we said, if we trust in Him, can use that situation for our good. That's when we see the justice. Alright, for His fairness. Alright? Can anyone think of a personal example in their life where something bad happened to them, and maybe they thought that was a really bad situation, but God worked it out for good? Anyone can think of an example that you think of?
Nothing petty.
You guys are too young. That's fine.
I have to know.
Anyone? Okay, you'll probably have, you guys are young, but there will be a lot of those examples. A lot of those examples. Okay? Where life is full of ups and downs, and the downs are there for a purpose. And we don't always realize it. You have to wait to see until the end. But every time when there's something bad that happens in your life, you're like, I'm out. I'm done. But that's it. There's no God. I'm out. If you say that every single time, you're not going to be able to see God's justice in your life. If you're pushing Him out, He's not going to show you His justice. Alright? In your favor.
So, you know how, like, when, like, the downs happen, is that, like,
the what?
You know how, like, the downs happen?
Mm-hmm.
Is that God punishing us, or is that the devil doing his thing?
It could be both. It could be either. There are examples where God creates trials in our lives so we can learn from them. Alright? And we have to be tested. We talked about this, right? How do we make gold? I don't know if we talked about this example. How do you make gold? Yeah. Right, first you dig up this big rock of gold that's really impure, has dirt, or has a lot of like nasty things in it. It's not pure gold. In order to get like the gold, the pure gold, you have to melt the gold. So you get all the nastiness out of it, and then you are left with what? The pure gold. Our Christianity works the exact same way. On the surface, we have like a very like, Christianity mixed with a lot of things. Every time we have trials, it's like an opportunity. I can choose to do the right or wrong. Trials are like tests. That's how, like in school, they're like tests. The tests allow you to prove your mastery of the material. Alright, so trials are oftentimes, there are things that, like again, there are things that happen in our lives that allow us to say, okay, you know what, I'm going to do this right thing. And choose the right path. And that way, it's like a little bit of a burn, but it's the burn that's needed to make you a purer Christian. But you can also go to the left, you can say, whatever, I'm not going to follow God. That's not good. Those are trials. Temptations are different. Temptations come from the devil. I had a very powerful sermon the other day that said that was saying the devil's purpose is to get in between us and God. That is his main purpose. Like a lot of people explain it in like many different ways, but that is his purpose. The closer you get to God, the more he strengthens his temptation for you to be distracted by sin, by whatever, maybe. The further you are away from him, the more comfortable he is. The more he like lets you, relax. But the closer you make yourself, the more, like people who are really trying to get closer with God, you will see more and more temptation by the devil. Like that Sunday morning, waking up early, the same energy you had, you'll get more and more tired. You'll get busier. You'll have homework that's even much more difficult. Whatever. Like he'll put things in place to make it more difficult for you to connect with God. Does that make sense? Alright, do you guys understand the fact that you have to wait? In order to see God's justice, wait until the end. Abid, kind of makes sense? Sort of? Kind of, sort of? Alright. So, I can just give you guys like a personal example of as far as like, a lot of people say, there are a lot of people that are hungry, in Ethiopia and starving and everything, and, that's not fair, right? An example of somebody that I know who grew up in a very, very poor area. Alright? Grew up in like Gatar in Ethiopia, there's no electricity, no running water. Like that kind of, like literally Gojobek, like that kind of situation, was my wife's dad. Alright, he literally walked like 7 miles. He's like the guy that you read about. He walked 7 miles every day to go to school. He bought one of those like oil lamps to study at nighttime. Alright? And then, again, like in that moment, he could have said, this is not fair. And it was not. Like his mom died when he was like 9, 8. His dad died when he was like 13 or 14. Imagine that kind of lifestyle. So then he came one time to visit his aunt in Addis Ababa, and then he stayed with her. He ended up going to school and focusing every day, even though he had he could have said, oh, this is not fair, I'm out, I'm done, that's it. It's not fair. He didn't. He's like, I'm going to work hard and I'm going to give back to my family. He worked very hard and became a doctor. Alright, became a doctor, became very successful, came here, alright, and actually trained, so his little baby younger brother, he paid for him to go through school, and he became a doctor. His younger brother. He's in Ethiopia, he's a doctor. Alright? So now, because he worked hard through that circumstance, like now what he's doing as a doctor, he's about to retire, is he's building a huge hospital in Ethiopia. A huge hospital. It's like a multi-million-dollar project. It just got approved by the Prime Minister. And they're going to start building it in April. That is God's justice. At the beginning, when he was younger, like if I knew him when he was 10 or 11, and if he came to me to be like, my parents both died and I'm 13, like, what? That's not fair. That's not right. But God used his circumstance. That gave him actually like the